Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of our M14 Set review. I'm Evan Irwin.
I'm Brad Nelson.
And we're going to be talking about some red cards today, all about the red cards. I'm excited because we're starting with Academy Raider.
Well, I'm not that excited because this costs too much mana.
I want it to be two.
I know, it would be so good.
Wizards, why don't you just give us the red Looter Ilcore? Come on.
I mean, it's not even as good because you don't get to draw then discard.
Exactly, and it's fine. And look, and if you ever make the red and the colorless version of this, I would like it as my preview because I will preview that card on the Magic Show. I will be very excited. I cannot wait until we get the reverse Looter Ilcore in red for my cube. It's a card that needs to exist, and this one is just so close and is not there.
I just thought of a new card. So I know this is a little off the beaten path, but I just thought, would a colorless blue 2/2 unblockable, but when it deals damage, they get to loot be a good card?
No.
Would that be too good?
No, I mean like
it'd be too bad.
It'd be too bad for you. That trade-off for
what
me
about
would
a
not be worth it.
4/4 unblockable for 2?
Yeah, that's good.
That's good?
That's good.
Wizards, if you ever make that card, you send that my way, and I'll preview that card.
I mean, sure, take 20% of a life total every single go. But yeah, Academy Raider by itself, as it currently exists, is bad and constructed. In limited, could get there.
I think it's fine in Sealed because it's Intimidate, so only artifact creatures. There's not a lot of them.
Sealed seems fantastic. When you're building sort of on a curve, it feels kind of. It's a little bit looser in draft because you're working on your curve and trying to figure out what's the best thing for your deck to do, and yada yada. And Sealed, I think it's probably perfect because what you're doing there is just trying to filter through for your best stuff.
And it's evasion.
Yep, it really is. And able to throw an enchantment on it, throw some equipment on it. Get you.
Never draw too many excess lands. That's a valuable thing. Is just stop dropping lands if you don't have any 6 or higher drops.
Right.
Once you hit 5 lands, just keep them in hand, discard those, trying to find more spells. It's fine.
Sounds good to me. So I wouldn't pick it super high though.
No.
It's not going to be a card you got to fight for in draft by any means rather. Active Treason, it comes back.
We're back to Active Treason. We're back to the worst versions. Yeah, the weakest of all the threatens. I like these effects. They're good. They're sometimes very good in draft. They're usually not that great in Sealed, but they do work really well with the black cards. We've seen Active Treason, Bloodthorn Vampire from last core set.
Right.
In M14 now we have this and Evil Witch Girl, Vampire Girl.
The Blood Baron.
Yeah,
thing.
The Blood Baron, the scary girl.
Yeah, she's freaky and she'll chomp on whatever you're treasoning, as it were.
And Vampire Overlord and
right.
Or
But now
Warlord.
the question is. In Constructed, this works because you have a lot of sock outlets, and you can make it. You can ensure that they'll never get back.
Does that work with I'm not too familiar with sacrifice outlets.
Right, you've never played with those, but trust me, they work.
They do.
And but in Limited, I think a lot of it is I need a sack outlet to make it full value, or I'm trying to alpha my opponent with whatever I'm active treasoning.
Yep.
So and there's things like there's a Colonian Hydra that we're going to talk about tomorrow. In that, there's certain huge fatties, there's certain, huge like the Archangel of Thune or whatever, that you would want to active treason either to kill them or to get such value that after you do so, you're going to win the turn thereafter.
Yep.
So, as a card in draft, if you've drafted in the past few years, you've certainly seen this. It's not a card that people take very highly. It's a card that needs some synergy in order to work correctly, and oftentimes it just sits in the sideboard.
That's very true.
Yeah, so that's a thing. Awaken the Ancient.
This is a cool card. Now I don't think it's that good, but it's sweet. Like
it's not that good, but it is really sweet. It really is, and that's what I tried. I was trying to think of a way to explain it. Like on Twitter when I first saw it, I was just like, "This card is bad, but really sweet." Like, and it looks really good. It's a card I feel that new players are gonna be like, "Oh my God, that's so awesome!" And then the 7/7 mountain and stuff, and then the old jaded players just like they're just gonna kill it and they're just gonna destroy the enchantment or they're just gonna bounce it.
So there's one very unique thing about this card that I just don't understand. How it has triple red in its cost, and it gives the mountain haste. I don't understand why the mountain needs haste when you had to use 3 to activate.
I have a feeling that the reason that word is on there is because new players will enchant the wrong land that they just played that turn, and then they won't be able to attack with it. And then their spiky opponent will be like, you did not enchant the right land when you
so
attacked
no,
all your...
that has happened.
And so,
now you can't even tip it for mana.
right, you just passed, the rules lawyer bar. Like, congratulations.
Yeah.
But so that to me, like, it basically removes any feel bad from the card when you give it haste, which is fine. But at the end of the day, it looks great, but by the time you cast it, it's going to be chump blocked, it's going to be bounced, it's going to be killed, and in limited, it's fine.
In limited, it's great.
Yeah, it's really good.
I mean, you're sacrificing if it dies, you lose a land, but think of it as you can play it on turn 4 and just have a tap 7/7, or you can play it on turn 5 and attack with a 7/7. Like, it being a huge hasty monster can really screw up combat math.
Right.
Especially because it's above and beyond the biggest creature before turn 6. So, like,
easily.
It's huge. I think the card is great.
You just have to be so red heavy. You have to be in a very red heavy deck. I think that's the only thing that sort of gets you. Like, yes, you can turn one Elvish Mystic and then like mountain, play it on your land, and then nope, that don't work because it doesn't enchant the forest. Yeah. So you want to give me a scenario to make it work in limited. But I think if you're just running it out on turn 4 or running it out even on like turn 6, 7/7 still a 7/7.
Yeah.
But in constructed, it really isn't good enough.
No, it won't be good enough.
And that's kind of sad. But
I mean,
for me, I love the card. I think it's cool. I think casual players are going to love it. I love the art. I think the art's sweet. The mountains coming to beat your butt, and it looks like
sweet art. Yeah.
It's super cool. Barrage of Expendables. That Goblin Bombardment.
It's probably my favorite art of the set. I think it's adorable. It's so cool.
Oh no, we have not gotten to Goblin Diplomats yet.
Goblin Diplomats is pretty good.
That one's insane.
But like, it's pretty sweet. like he looks so happy to be sacrificed right now.
He looks
doesn't
absolutely
Yeah, he's just like, yay!
Thrilled. That is amazing.
But the thing is there's one big problem why this isn't Goblin Bombardment is the mana activation. That's really big. So like, the problem is you have to be very red heavy, and you can't just play Lingering Souls and flash it back and deal 4 damage. Like you to deal 4 damage through Lingering Souls, it costs a total of 9 mana now, and that's a lot of mana. So I don't think this card is going to see any play. And this is coming from someone that likes Lingering Souls and has played Act 2 and played Junk Aristocrats and things like that. It's just too expensive, and it doesn't really work for Magic right now.
I like how the 1 mana enchantment is too expensive. You're like, it's just too much mana, man. I ain't got it. Can't do it. Sorry.
Yeah, it just is. If I would have much rather seen a fixed Goblin Bombardment where it costs 4 mana, that would have been playable. Just 3 colorless red, or 2 colors, 2 red or something, and then it just had sack, deal 1 damage. That would be a very good card. But this being having to activate for each sacrifice creature, just a little too expensive.
Free sack outlets have always been pretty traditionally incredibly powerful.
I mean, you can just look at Cartel Aristocrat. It's just a 2/2. I thought that card was bad. When we were sitting in, go back and look through the set review with Cartel. I said that card was so bad.
Oh my god.
And now I have not, like, I played it only since Return to Render came out. I played like the Humanimator deck, and then I played a little Junk Reanimator, and ever since it's just been all Cartel Aristocrat decks.
Right, so he says it's bad, and then at the pre-release, he goes around to literally every single person. Did you open any Cartel Aristocrat? The black-white, the sack guy thing.
I did.
Yeah, you got any of those? Sure. And we ran in the whole room.
And
it's like 80 people.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just running around trying to find them because I wanted to build the Humanimator deck. And then the next set, when Skatecrash came around, I ran around the whole pre-release room going, did you guys really know how Evolve worked? That is insane! Both sides took this end, but I had no idea.
Yeah, that was awkward. That was weird. It's sad. But Barrage of Expendables is a card that, it's a card I think that has a lot of potential. I don't know if it's right for this metagame. I think a lot of our thinking gets so hung up into what is currently big and what is currently good. And, so cards like Falcon Wrath Aristocrat that were crapped on when they first came out because they were nowhere near as good as what was currently in the Scars environment. Once Scars left, then all of a sudden that card got really good and people started to pay attention to it. So Barrage of Expendables feels like one of those cards that's not close to good now, but when you lose some of those sack
very
outlets,
close to good now, but
it's fair, but it's a lot closer to constructed all-star status if you slow the format down, if you get rid of a lot of the power stuff that is going to leave this fall. So we'll see. For limited though, I like it a lot. I think it's sweet and limited. It gives you a lot of play. It allows you to chump and throw. It allows you to sort of count the number of red mana, count the number of creatures, look at their life total, do the math, make them do that math constantly. It's not a card I want to run a bunch of because it's terrible when you draw the second copy. But you know, if you're in an attrition-based matchup, or if you're in an aggro deck, you know, this is the thing that gives you reach when you stop against the fatties.
And another huge thing about this card is when you're being an aggressive red deck, this allows you to main deck Active Treasons and give them multiple things to do.
Right. Another sack outlet for that type of play.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think there's a lot of play in this card. I think I agree with you, it's probably a lot closer to playability and constructed than I was leaving on, but right now it's not.
Yeah,
I agree. It's just not there yet. Battle Sliver, getting there.
This is sweet.
Boom, boom.
The only problem I have with this card is the other awesome red sliver costs 5/2. I just don't think they should have the same converted mana cost.
The Thorn something,
Yeah.
Thornscape Sliver or something.
The Hellrider Sliver.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Hellrider Sliver is sweet. Whereas this one is, you know, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. +2/+0.
It's a 5/3
It just
for 5.
lets every sliver grow 2 more additional hands. That's pretty much all I saw.
Yeah. Every sliver becomes Goro from Mortal Kombat, and that's fine. But you know, cards like Hive Stirrings, you know, cards like all of the 1-drops that we'll get to some others here soon, and yeah, this card just powers them all up.
Yep.
This is a 5-drop you don't want to see, just like the Hellrider Sliver.
Yeah.
And if you're the Sliver deck, I think you obviously take it really early. If you're not the Sliver deck, it's a fine man.
Yeah, just 5/3 for 5 is not bad.
Yeah, it's not super amazing. It's okay. It's not something I would take over, you know, a utility spell. But if I'm looking for creatures and I'm in red, why not?
Yeah,
he's a good card in there. This is a way better Sliver though.
Blur Sliver.
Blur Sliver means they get real scary real fast, and then all of a sudden, you know, if your opponent plays Blur Sliver, you're like, you know, how far do I tap down, or how far do I sort of go all in on my spells and my creatures because they can, you know, draw X sliver, drop 2 slivers, do something, and then.
And the thing is that the like options are endless when it comes to that. Like, you have no idea what slivers are going to affect other slivers.
Right.
And, like, it's very scary to have a haste because not only do you, like, it could be double strike and it could be something else. It could be like.
It could be Hive Stirrings. It could be Lifelink. It could be. I mean, you know, it could be the Flying Guy. I mean, it could be whatever. But you know, the fact that all of a sudden every single one of them gets haste means they all got a lot scarier.
Yeah.
And when you're not playing the Sliver deck, if you are in red, there's a lot of red slivers, just like we saw Battle. And there's the First Strike Sliver that we're getting to, and there's the Hellrider Sliver, all in red. So red does have a sliver focus that other colors don't, like black, for example, only has the 1. So you can pick this, you know, I think a little bit higher because you know that there's other slivers in your color, and you can get a lot of value out of those.
Yeah, I agree with that.
This is a really good one early.
Yep.
So, Burning Earth. Taste the Haterade.
Yeah, this is the card that when I saw it, I thought it was going to have the most impact on Standard, and that's just because Control decks already have a tough time.
Yeah.
And I even put in my article, I'm like, I'm not the guy to go to say if Control's dead or not, but I think Control's dead.
Oh God. Yeah, and so in that case, Control's obviously going to win the next like open or two after M14.
That's just not true. Control did very poorly since the last that came out. Let's be honest.
It's been doing very poorly. I agree with you.
Yeah.
This is a card that probably didn't need to exist, but you know, it's also one of those things where I can see the development team saying like, you know, you've had it good with all the RTR lands, all the dual lands, all the buddy lands, you know, from M13 and behind, the ones from Innistrad. Now it's time for you to suffer a little bit.
Yeah, and I like it, and it's not as bad as Mana Barbs was. Like, Mana Barbs was just always every land.
Yeah.
I like that this one punished the control decks, and the tension is the people that just need to be control players, like Jerry Thompson and other, you know, that just need to always be on some kind of a blue-white strategy.
Right.
They can try to be a 2-color deck, and they can try to find it, but I don't think it exists with, like, all the angles that all the aggressive, proactive things are doing.
Right. You have to have so much mana and so many different spells and so many different things you can do that you can't just pare yourself down.
Yep.
You know, there's not a mono white deck that's doing well. There's not a you know, mono blue deck that's doing well. You have to diversify, and the more you diversify, the more this card punishes.
And even the blue-white control deck is splashing Drown Yard to mill them at the end of the game. You know, like, I think this card's very good. It's in the aggressive. I think the best place it's going to be is in an aggressive Nihil because a lot of their creatures are very good in the aggressive matchups, but work a little poorly against Jund and control.
Right.
Like Boros Reckoner and Hunt Master, they're just not as good.
Right.
But in that shell, after sideboard, you have this card that comes in against Jund, comes in against control decks. Their whole plan against you is to generate card advantage through bigger spells in the later portion of the game. But a Thragtusk doesn't gain any life with this card in play. Sphinx's Revelation costs 3 life to cast instead of gaining them life.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, and for me, like, there's a deck out there called Wolf Run Bant. I mean, you know, that means that they're 4 different colors. They're almost like mono, non-basic lands.
They are mono, non-basic,
Yeah, so at that point, like, everything they do ever hurts them, and they have to answer this immediately, and there you are. So do not play it in sealed or limited, but in, you know, this is a constructed card. It's made for sideboards, and that's where it will live.
Yep.
Canyon Minotaur, good old-fashioned
Hill Giant.
Woo, woo. Hill Giant time.
I mean, isn't a Hill Giant in every single core set?
There should be.
Yeah, there's just always a Hill Giant.
There needs to be.
Yep.
I mean, it's not Hill Giant anymore, it's Canyon Minotaur, but okay.
I mean, he didn't live on the hill. He lives in the hill. It's fine, whatever.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Okay, see how it is. But the Canyon Minotaur, I mean, just reminds me kind of the Undead Minotaur. 1 mana less for a 2/3, 1 mana more for a 3/3. Like,
yeah.
really? A mana gets you a 1 power? That's
your muscles don't really work that well after you're undead. You know, your metabolism's not really fully functional.
All right. We've gone too deep. He's a fine card. He's a good man to battle through. He's in your 4-drop slot. I mean, you know, he's Hill Giant. Hill Giant is Hill Giant.
It's fine. It's never going to impress you, but it's never gonna, you know, leave you disappointed.
Right. He's going to be good. And he's not something you pick early. You pick sort of mid to late. Yep. And if you're in red, you're not going to hate a Canyon Minotaur.
No, unless you're in red-blue. That's where all your sea kites are.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're going to pick a sea kite over this like every day of the week. But, you know, as a Hill Giant, it's a Hill Giant.
Fine.
Good man.
All right, I have this drink. I don't want to show you what it is, so I don't promote anything. Explain yourself.
That's funny. Wizards. Look, now I've done a lot of this already in the show. There were a few things I didn't get to touch on. I never get to touch on everything I want because there's only so much time. A, the name was silly. Why is it Pyromaster versus Pyromancer, and you have another card called Young Pyromancer in the set? B, it's not terrible, and that was my conclusion in the show. Not terrible. It's about as good as Chandra Nalar. And that, to me, is actually pretty miserable. But Wizards? Seriously? 3+1s, 3 Chandras, 3+1s that deal 1 damage to a player. Really? Come on. And the stupid 0, you can't even use it on the curve, man.
Yeah.
You can't even use it on the curve. That's crazy. But that, to me, just says it's not a card that you hit on the curve. It's a card that on the curve, you play Huntmaster. The turn after, you play Thragtusk. The turn after, you play Chandra, use her 0, hopefully hit, you know, like, I don't know, a Farseek or something. I don't know, something you can do. Because at this point, you're probably just going to play her and have to, like, kill some, like, mana dork.
You can't even excel with her 0, right?
Excuse me?
You can't excel with her 0, right? You can't.
It will not let you play another land, no. Yeah. It's just, but look, I understand why. The only reason it's good is because it's red card draw. It's the ability for you to draw another card in red every turn. However, in order to get yourself in a position to let you draw a card every turn, you know, you have to play other things first. You have to sort of get everything stabilized, and then play Chandra, and then ideally, you know, reveal something you can play, or kill something and you have to wait a whole turn. And the ultimate is just clown shoes.
So
I don't know.
What I don't understand about red Planeswalkers, still to this day, I mean, we've had Planeswalkers for 5 years now? Mm-hmm. And every single color has had a very busted Planeswalker, in my opinion.
Okay.
Everyone has had a very good one. The only one that's like kind of bad, I would say, is Liliana the Veil. And the only reason she was bad in Standard is because there's so many double lives and so many flashback. Like her, and there was like.
Wait a minute. Did you just say Liliana the Veil was bad?
In Standard, it was never unbelievably powerful, but it's still being played in like Modern and Legacy to show where its strength is. But what I'm saying is, every color's had a standard dominating Planeswalker.
Okay.
Except for red. And I don't really understand why they can't just print an awesome Planeswalker. They even printed Koth. Koth I thought was pushed.
Yeah, and from my conversations with R&D at the time, Koth was pushed. They were kind of like, Koth is, we're not sure how good Koth is. Maybe he's too good. And he turned out to be, like, I think really good and got worse as time went on.
Yeah, and it was controllable.
Yeah, and he could. So that Koth to me was the right power level, and that he was really impressive. He did actually win some tournaments at the beginning. And then, like, as time went on, people learned how to play around him, and they learned that he was in the format and yada yada. And he had 4 loyalty to start with, luckily, like Pyromaster here as well. So there's a lot of things they kind of mirrored there. But these abilities, man, like, Koth couldn't protect himself, but he could bash. This can't protect itself, and it has the same friggin' ability we've seen 3 times.
Yeah, I think that, like, this isn't what a red Planeswalker should do. Like, if I actually got to design my own Planeswalker, I already have it. I don't know what its ultimate would be, but if I got to print a Chandra, it would be 3 mana, it would be colorless red, it would have 2 loyalty, and it would have 2 abilities. It would be tick up, shock, and then it would have like a tick down, like 7. I don't know what it would do. It would be something really powerful. But all it would have is those 2 abilities. Because, like, in my opinion, when it comes to fire and it comes to red Planeswalkers, is like you're building big up to something. They're dealing with fire. They're making more and more fire. They're, like, spinning more. And so, like, that card just, it's subtle to me. It starts off small. It has the same ability, but it gets closer to an ultimate. And it just has that tension of trying to get there with a very powerful shock ability. I don't think being able to just shock something off a Planeswalker is actually too powerful anymore. Not with all the double lives, all the protection, all the big Forest Reckoners. Like, I agree. I feel like, I'm sure R&D are on the other side of the camera here, and they're just like, we tested it, and it was blah, 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 way too good. And I'm like, okay, well then make her more expensive, because I'm really tired of the deal, the little pingy stuff, because the little pingy stuff is fine. And yes, I know it doesn't let them block. I get it. And yes, you can ping their Thragtusk and get through their Thragtusk. That's great. But in the real world, that's not how games work. Like, I'm just like, it doesn't happen that way. Nothing about this card excites me either. Like, I don't know if someone at home, like, the thing is they make mythics, and sometimes they make Planeswalkers that are actually bad. Look at Ajani, right? Yeah. It wasn't that good, but, like, we all thought it was awesome, and it was cool, and people wanted to start working on it. And that's the thing about Magic cards, is, like, the way they're designed is they can't all be good at the same time. Sometimes there's ebb and flow, Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. But I've never seen anyone just be like, did you see the new Chandra? I already got my 4. I've got 4 decks, but who wants to play some Chandra decks? Like,
right.
Everyone's just kind of like,
it's just, did you see her? Yeah.
The most exciting thing people have done with the Chandra is prove that her 0 ability doesn't let you cast it without paying mana. Like everyone's just like, you have to pay mana, and we're like, no, you don't. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
I said, new Chandra, and then, like, Todd Anderson on Twitter, he was just like, Brainstorm Emrakul, and I'm like, you need to read that card again.
Yeah, you said something about it, and I actually was just kind of like, what, does he not think it's good in Legacy? Because I thought that's what it did too. Like,
right. If it did that, then high five. So, either way, Chandra in Limited, she's great. Like, I'm not saying that she's not great in Limited, she's fine. But in Standard, it's going to take a while. It's probably going to be a Jund deck. It's going to be something that's mid-rangey. Like, she's a good mid-range Planeswalker.
I kind of feel like
but she's not a great walker.
No, see, I actually think that Chandra is at the top of a curve. That's where I think Chandra is best at. I do.
And I think she's best when you sit her behind dorks.
Well, no, I agree, but it's the thing. Like, if you go like Cackler into some kind of 2-drop or Burning Tree and another 2-drop into Boris Reckoner into Chandra, you make their one best guy can't block and you attack them, and now they can either trade their other guy for one of your guys, or they're not able to kill the Chandra. But if they're able to kill the Chandra, then you get a free attack. So, like, that's where I want the tension to be, if I try to kill Chandra, I'm just dead. And then I want, like, it to be the 4-drop, so then if they not attack because you're the red aggressive deck, then instead of, like, poking a guy, if you still can't get through, you can just be like, I hope this is a spell. And, like, that's where I think this card is actually going to shine the brightest, is with no other 4-drops being the top of a curve of a 21 land deck.
And I'd rather have Hellrider. Amazing and limited. For me, she can't protect herself.
Nope.
So I want to protect her with dorks, play her, give myself the turn, and then be able to start drawing extra cards with her. And that, to me, was, I thought, the reason that she was designed. But whatever. So here's her outrage.
Much better version of a card than her outright.
True. That does a lot more and more impacting, yada, yada. It is instant, which is great. I mean, it's a piece of removal. You're going to pick it high. It's not good enough for constructed, but it's a limited all-star.
Yes, very good and limited. It'll shock you how good the 2 damage to the dome actually is. You picked up on that?
I picked up what you were laying down, buddy.
Okay.
Congratulations. So here's her Phoenix, which remains super sweet. I believe this was the M13 Buy-A-Box promo, as I recall. And this is in my cube. This is a very powerful card. This, like, it didn't see, I don't think, as much standard play as I was expecting, at least at the time, because it really does just keep coming back. But when you look into a world of Falcon Wrath Aristocrats and Angels of Serenity and Restoration Angels, also a huge one that's keeping this card down.
Just wait till the vault.
I can't. No, those cards go away. For me, I mean, there's no doubt I want to run with this guy in the red zone, but right now he's not it. In limited, he's extremely good. I think you're able to buy him back with almost any red sorcery that you have, any red instant or sorcery, and then. And if you do get to rip the Chandra, you can bring it back there too.
Yeah, I think this card after rotation is going to see a lot of constructed play just because of Battalion and just being haste. Like that's just a very crucial thing about this card.
Right.
So I'm going to really want to play with Fire Fist Strikers or even maybe Boros. I don't think the mana will be good enough to frontline and Chandra's Phoenix, but for the mono red decks, they exist. They already have Boros Reckoner. I think another 3-drop will be fine for that deck, and it'll allow you to just use mugging. What kind of burns left?
Well, they're going to have to replace Pillar of Flame.
Yeah.
Pillar of Flame is like something that exiles when it burns it is going to have to be in Theros or Voice of Resurgence.
I mean, we already have Annihilating Fire.
Oh, God, that's 3 mana, though.
Yeah, but I think they're fine with Voice being good. I really do. I think they're completely content with that card just being busted.
Well, sure. But, I mean, at the same time, what I had heard on Voice was that it was something that was changed late in development. Like, classic mistake story is they change it late in development, they don't have time to test it, and they print it.
Really? They didn't print that card at all? Or they test that card at all?
As far as I understand, they tested it, and then they changed something about it, and they printed it, and here we are.
Whoopsie.
And there you go. So if Annihilating Fire is all we have, that's a little scary to me. I think Voice is actually going to be even better than it is now. Chandra's Phoenix, however, is an excellent card. I hope it comes to standard soon. Cyclops Tyrant. That's a 6-mana 3/4 Intimidate, baby. Oh,
such a weird card. 6 mana for a 3/4. It has Intimidate, and it can't block creatures with power 2 less. Is that because it can't see well enough?
Yeah, that to me is the flavor.
Yeah.
The flavor is the Cyclops is so big and hulking and so intimidating, that it doesn't see the little tiny dorks that are running around its feet.
But he isn't even that hulking.
I know. He's just 3/4.
3/4, yeah.
That to me sounds like a development change. You know, like design was like, it needs to be this huge Cyclops that it's intimidated and blah, blah, blah. And development's like, yeah, you can't put those numbers on an Intimidator creature, Like, you just can't do it. So I can imagine it was probably a 4/4 or a 5/4 or something silly.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, we don't want to print that on the card with that type
I
of
guess I guess the flavor explains it. A single eye blinded by rage. So no matter, he doesn't have to be big. He just has to be like that into
be
things.
upset. It's fine. So no constructed, limited. You're going to pick it probably late. 6 mana is a lot, particularly for draft.
Yeah, these are the cards, like I was explaining, some of the blue cards that go well with green cards. This is one of the red cards that goes well in a green deck.
Right, and this will go, I mean, in sealed it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's a good sealed card because, you don't care so much about the curve and the mana that you have to pay into it. It's more about having the big body and having the evasion, which is great. But draft, it's a stretch. Demolish comes back because we can't print Stone Rain at 3 mana. And at 4 mana, it's terrible.
Yep.
And ...
And ...
Don't play it, please.
Unless you play against a Slaver deck and you're on the play. Do it. Why not? Live life on the dangerous side.
Don't. You're living on the losing side, is what it sounds like. Dragon Egg is a super cool card. Why does it not make Dragon Hatchlings? Seriously. Wizards? Are you kidding me?
What do you mean?
It puts a 2/2 with fire breathing, okay? And let's just bounce forward a little bit. That's a Dragon Hatchling. Why is that not coming? It's out of the frigging egg in the art. Why doesn't it make a 0/1 that flies that has fire breathing? Because, what? Really? Wizards, really?
I mean, I guess that makes a lot of sense.
It makes perfect sense.
It does.
Wizards, what are you doing? It sounds like, designer A and developer B were not talking to each other, and we have this weird dragon egg and dragon hatchling that have nothing to do with each other.
No, see, I get it. See, this one came out of the egg right away. Like when you purchased it, it was out of the egg. But this one got a little bit more time to brew in there, and that's why it got a little bit bigger. Because a Shivan Dragon came out of an egg, right? And it was a Shivan Dragon.
I like how you're trying to explain this away. Don't you try to explain this away. It should be a hatchling. You know it.
Of course it should.
There's a broken egg in the back of the art, Wizard.
But you can tell it's not in the same background because there's swords and there's no swords over here. So they were different areas. Therefore, this could be a different breed of dragon. They're not all the same.
Yeah,
they're all
right.
they're not all the same.
Okay. All right, apologist. Fine. See what you're doing there. At the end of the day, I think it's a really cool card.
Yeah, it's great. Like I always like the double. I like cards that have 2 lives.
Oh.
But no, I think it's great. Fire-breathing dragons are really, really powerful. The biggest problem with both of these cards, I think we're just talking about both of them right now.
Might as well.
Is the 2 powers, whatever, compared to the 0 power, it's pretty comparable.
The 2
honestly.
toughness, you mean?
No, the power. The powers are pretty comparable in the sense
sure.
that it's a fire-breathing creature.
Yes.
But the toughness is the crucial part. 1 and 2 are practically the same as well. They're both weak. Like you can just put a flyer in front of it, and no matter how much mana you have, it's not a shade effect. They're gonna die.
Right. And that's fine. It's just that, for me, this is a flavor problem. Like, I get it. They're fine cards. You're going to pick these guys, not super early and limited. They're going to be fine in draft and sealed, and that's good.
Yep.
It's just like Wizards. You have a card called Dragon Hatchling and a card called Dragon Egg that is brand new, by the way. So you can make it whatever you want. This isn't
so
a reprint. This is a card you came up with. Dragon Hatchling's been around for like 10 freaking years, and you make a Dragon Egg that doesn't make a Hatchling. Like, dude, we have went far too down the resonance hole for me to forgive Wizards of this.
Also, Evan has a very easy life if these are the things that are going to make him blow a gasket.
Yep.
Yep.
I do. Yep. Flames of the... I'm just saying, man.
Yeah.
It's important to me.
These are the things that matter the most.
They are. Get it right, guys. Call. I mean, this is Magic history we're talking about here.
And one card that blows up both dragons regardless.
Ba-da-ba-boom. Flames of the smack you upside the face. Because this card is sweet. This card does what you want to do. You can split it however you want. It's interesting to me that they actually explain on this one, you can choose 1 or 2 or 3 creatures and or players. It's like, just in case you missed it. Like, that to me is funny. But ultimately, this is removal. You pick it super high. You want to run it in limited every time. It's never hit constructed because all the other burn spells are better.
It's always been like a 1-of in the sideboard, if anything.
Yeah, if it is ever run, after they've already ran through all their pillars and they ran through their searing spears. But, ultimately, it's just good.
Yep.
It's hard to give a lot of context other than,
just play with it.
It's Arc Lightning, and it's now Flames of the Firebrand, and if you play with either, you know how awesome they are.
Yeah, they're great and limited.
Yep. Flesh Pulper Giant. Pulping that flesh.
I like how
Pulping
Cyclopses can't see 2-drops, and the Pulpits find them. The Giants always find them.
Yeah, the Giants are looking for them. The Cyclops is like, what?
Yeah.
What? And the Giants like, BRB, squishing 2-drops. Well, 2 toughness guys, I guess.
I don't really understand this card in the sense that once you get to turn 7, why is a 2-mana or 2-power toughness creature relevant anymore?
It's not.
It's not.
They're just trying to give you something to do. They're trying to give it some sort of value that doesn't make it look just like a 7-mana 4/4.
Awful. Yeah.
It's not great. It's
This
not
is
a card.
pretty bad.
Don't play it in. Well, if you play it in draft, you better really.
You have to have a reason. Like there has to be lots of Dragon Hatchlings running around for you to actually play this card.
There has to be lots of acceleration in your deck so you can get to 7.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. In sealed, it seems like a fine man.
Yeah.
Because in sealed, like, you are going to get to 7, and in sealed there is probably going to be some 2-drop there, 2 toughness flyer that you
maybe
need to
one
like,
of
squish.
or the 2/2 that taps guys and stuff like that.
Yeah, so there's going to be things you can do because that format is slower. But whenever it comes, whenever anyone's building a curve, this is not the card that you go like, oh man, can't wait to get to 7 so I can play my 4/4 that might kill your nothing.
Yeah.
Oops. Now this is the best art in the set.
I haven't seen it close up.
Yeah.
I just thought it was 2 goblins.
No. Isn't it unreal? It's absolutely amazing.
It's unbelievable.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Oh my God.
I can't believe it. I literally.
Hey, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'll do this.
Yeah, some of that. Some of that for real. I mean, they have a goblin point in his butt, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I want to read this art description. This is the card they need to do an arcana about.
Yeah.
They need to tell us where this card came from, who decided goblins would be pointing at their butt and making silly faces. I think it's absolutely awesome. I want it to be a really good card too. I'm pretty sure it's not, but that's
No,
okay.
I don't think it's bad. Especially as an Aristocrats player, I'm scared of cards like this because it makes me lose control.
Yeah.
And so especially you can have an immediate impact too by just simply playing it, pairing it with a lightning mauler, saying go and activating
Then
it.
you have to attack with your blood artist.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that's a real scary thing.
Yeah.
So for me, I got a foil copy because A, I think it's going to look amazing in foil, and B, I want it to be good in the cube because it allows the mono red, the green red aggro players, the red blue, Trixie type players to take the control away from you. To say, all right, now you come and get me, whether you like it or not, and then you wreck them accordingly.
And you force everyone to attack. Forcing that to happen is you attack with every other creature but your goblin diplomats.
Right.
They attack with every creature. You attack with every creature. You're probably going to win that race.
Right. And that's where you want to put yourself.
Yeah, I don't think this is an exceptionally good card in limited. Very good because it's just it's just a 2/1 for 2 mana, which we've talked about Child Knight, we've talked about other creatures, sometimes good, sometimes bad, but any of the lure-ish creatures, like there's been creatures before that force different creatures to attack or not be able to block, have always been unbelievable because you can just be like, yeah, send them, let's see what happens. And from turn 3 or 4 on, you can play this on turn 2, play a decent-sized creature on turn 3, force their 2 mana creature to attack.
Yep.
And then keep building your board and keep picking theirs off. I think if this card goes unchecked on turn 2, I don't think it's beatable as long as you get to play some guys.
Right. If they don't have a removal spell for it, again, it just takes the control away. Yeah. And having the control is everything. And when it comes to limited per se, almost all the control is based around combat and the right attacks and the right blocks and blah, blah, blah. And when you're when you're the guy to say when they attack, that changes everything.
I mean, I actually do not know of a card in limited that I would rather have than Goblin Diplomats. If I had playable cards, right? If I could first pack in a draft, I don't probably some of the other mythic rares might, Archangel of Thrun might beat this card, but I don't know. This card having so much control over combat, it's the essential way to win in limited. I think this is the card that I want.
It's really sweet. Now, granted, it's not the best thing in the world when you're in your late game tot deck mode or whatever.
No.
But if it's in any other stage of the game, this card will begin to run it.
Yeah, just think about playing with this in Wall of Swords.
Yep. And then all of a sudden you'll just be like,
yeah.
Right there. Card is sick. Shortcutter directly from Zendikar block.
Great card from Zendikar block. I don't know if that was because that format was just hyper aggressive that it was so good.
Yeah, that's probably why. That format was insanely fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I will never forget being at Pro Tour Austin. This is 2009 at this point, and first picking the 7-drop vampire, the mythic 7-drop vampire, and I was like, oh, this card's got to be good.
Were you at the PT? Did you play at that PT?
No, I was just there covering it.
Oh, okay.
So, and interviewed you a few times.
I know. I was really happy. That was the first time I was ever on a Magic show.
That's sweet. You guys, I'll link
you can
it.
go,
I'll link it in the description or something. But the goblin, for me, I was like, oh man, 7-drop vampires gonna be sweet. And I'm picking up all these really huge creatures, and I'm like, man,
you had no idea.
I had no idea what. This is my first draft ever.
Yeah.
It's Zendikar, and so I get it, and I'm waiting on turn 3 to play my giant scorpion, and then I'm waiting, and so and he's 1-drop, 2-drop bash, 3-drop, kill your, or 3-drop that can't, your giant, your giant scorpion can't block, get you. Next turn, kill your giant scorpion, get you. And then I'm like, but let me get to 5 mana and I can do something really cool, and then I die. And then landfall, I lose.
Yeah, the format was so just.
It was
aggressive,
absurd. Yeah. Now, granted, it had the most amazing mechanic, which is landfall. I cannot wait until landfall comes to a core set. I think it would be absolutely terrific. Landfall was the first time I'd ever been excited to draw a land. I wanted to draw land. Most of the time when you're ripping, you want to rip the spells, and that was the first time in my Magic playing time ever in which I was like, please let this be a land. You know?
The greatest thing about landfall was that no matter what stage of the game you're in, you could figure out lines to any top deck. Like, it wasn't like, if I don't draw land, I can do this, 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 and this.
Right.
It's like, if I draw land, I can do this. If I do this, I can do that. And it's like very weird how that's part of your strategy. Is just drawing a land is playing to an out. Like, you're playing to an out. Like, if I draw running lands, I can win the game this way. Like, who's ever said that besides getting stuck on 5 waiting for
Who wants
cool
to be flooded out? All right, so to bring it back around, Goblin Shortcutter, in that format was an all-star. In this format, is probably pretty good. I mean, like, its ability is good. Its ability, particularly on something like a Firefish Striker, which is even seen playing Constructed, that is a repeatable ability of this ability, repeatable possibility of this. But just a one-time 2-drop, like, you're probably not going to play it on turn 2 because you want to get it to a point where you stop their 3-drop, you stop their 4-drop from blocking, and then you get you.
I would really consider this an Azorius Arrestor. Like, that's it's very similar. It's a little worse technically, but I don't think it's way worse on paper because it just has less abilities. But like in actual play, it's not going to be as bad as you think. Like, they're not always going to attack you, and sometimes you want them to attack you. Right. So like, it's the same thing as Arrest in my opinion. And that card was seen a lot of play, so I think it's very similar.
One of the cool things about this card, I think, one of the interesting things rather, is it's really good in draft and it's not that good in sealed. Because in draft, it's all about the curve, it's all about hitting your drops and where you want to go and what your game plan is. And in sealed, a lot of it's kind of dirtly, you know. A lot of it's kind of like,
trying to get your board set up.
Yeah, I'm going to set up my board and figure out how I'm going to win, all this cool stuff. And this guy is just like, well, you know, I'm kind of randomly here, and I'm randomly going to stop this 4-5 from blocking, and then you still have everything else out, so go, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's where you lead yourself. So don't pick it too highly in draft, but if you are hyper-aggressive, I can see this going up to pick order.
Yep, for sure.
No problem. Lava Axe, get ya.
I think I have referred to more spells as Lava Axes than I've ever cast Lava Axes.
I could say the same.
Yeah.
I agree with that. You know, it's flavor text cracks me up. The flavor text for a long time used to be like here catch or something like that.
Yeah.
And now it's a strict upgrade over the Cinder Hatchet.
Okay.
What? Because this is the Lava Axe, and that's set. Just bleed out everywhere. Thanks.
I don't think Lava Axe is worth killing yourself over. Let's just be honest
Fine.
here.
Don't get me started on Dragon Hatchlings.
Maybe when they start taking, you know, invitational cards and not using the original art on them, that's maybe when you can start doing.
I got a little upset over Dark Confidant.
Oh God, yeah, it was so bad.
It was bad. Anyway, Lava Axe is the problem with Lava Axe is it doesn't hit creatures. The number one thing you normally want this to do in a lot of scenarios is to hit creatures.
No, you know something? You try throwing an axe at a moving target. A burning axe. You try to do that. I want to see you actually do it.
I've thrown plenty of Cinder Hatchets in my time.
And those are a little easier, right?
Yeah, those are totally easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lava Axe, not so much. It's still a good spell. I mean, 5 mana for 5 damage. I mean, that's still a quarter of their life total, just boom. But
and a lot of time I can just get them.
Yeah, a lot of times they're at 5 and then you just kill them. So, you know, this feels like a card that basically sneaks up on a lot of people. You know, you just don't play around Lava Axe. You just don't. I mean, I can see it working in a draft when you're aggressive and this is the top of your curve. I can see it working in sealed because, again, you just sort of like out of nowhere.
Just, yep.
You know, just I got nothing. So the only way I can win this game is if I 5 you. You know, like that's a thing that can happen. So this is a card that I would suggest playing with depending on the makeup of your deck. And in draft, you can curve something aggressive, and in sealed, you might need it just to win.
You play Lava Axes when you have an absence of bigger spells, like when you don't have a lot of 4s, 5s, 6s, and you have a lot of early aggression, because you do just need something to do in the late game that is more powerful than a 1 or 2 or 3 drop that can actually deal a lot of damage.
Right. I mean, you know, of course you can play like a 1 or 2 drop over this, but is that 1 or 2 drop actually going to do the same 5 damage or more than this spell would do?
This card's won a lot of games.
Instantly. It really has. So one to watch and to play with and see how you feel about. Lightning Talons, 3 mana plus 3/0 and first strike.
I feel like there was a different version of this that just cost 2 mana and did the same thing. Does that never exist?
No, there's Madcap skills.
Okay, well, yeah,
and they won't let you be blocked by 2 creatures, which is arguably a ton better than this card. Yeah, to the point where Madcap skills is a standard playable card at this point. I will just throw out there the Lightning Talons is not the standard playable possibility that Madcap skills is. But it is really good and limited. This is a card that you're going to set yourself up for the 2-for-1, blah, blah, blah. But when they ain't got it, they're hurting.
Yeah, it's another card that if you end up in a Boros deck, you have the Aromancers. Like, we keep coming back to that every time we see enchantment, but that's a real thing. Like, being able to recoup losses from that 2-for-1 is really important.
Yeah, I mean, a white-red enchantment deck, like, is not crazy, you know? Like, you can still run that, and there's a lot of Intimidate, as we've already seen, and Lightning Talons with Intimidate is good.
Yep.
All right, so limited playability. I dislike playing multiples of these because I usually get stuck with them.
I like playing them much more in draft than sealed. Like in sealed, you're going to run into playing enchantments like this. More removal. Like more removal happens in sealed because what happens in a sealed pool, you look through your pool and you're like, well, I have 6 removal spells or I have 5 removal spells. And you try to play all of them, you try to splash for them. In a draft, everyone's digging up removal. So like instead of having like 6 packs of removal condensed into one deck, you have 24 packs condensed into 8 packs, which is only 3 packs removal per player. So for the most part, there's just less removal.
Right, and so when that's the case, you know, it gets better. But you know, in sealed, it's a little just it's just pretty loose versus draft, where you can build this sort of cohesive, aggressive thing that goes like, you know, the shortcutter into talons, into into whatever, into 4-drop, 5-drop. Marauding Maulhorn. Okay. Advocate of the Beast is a green card that we'll talk about tomorrow, but otherwise a 4-mana 5/3 that attacks each turn.
It's a Juggernaut.
It's a Juggernaut.
Just strictly a Juggernaut.
Yep. I mean, and it's a Juggernaut with upside because if you have Advocate of the Beast, what that card actually does is A, doesn't make you attack with this, and B, lets you put a +1/+1 counter on a beast you control during your upkeep. So
it is a beast as well, right?
Huh?
Is it a beast as well?
No, the Advocate is not.
Oh, okay.
Correct. So that, that's the sort of the Mondo combo of it. So it's not quite as obvious as the Bogbrew Witch, and the festering newt guy, but it is a card that talks about another specific card. Personally, I think this is cool. I don't think it's bad. But I think it's right in the line of almost too much. Like once you have the Bogbrew trio and this thing and the duo, I think that's about as much as a core set needs.
The other thing that I don't like about this Marauding Maulhorn and Advocate of the Beast is that the way I read it is I feel like newer players are going to be like, so I don't want to attack with it.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to not attack with this card.
I'm supposed to wait until I
get
this other card.
And built
and then play this other card and then wait.
And I don't think that's really how this card should be played all the time. I think it's aggressive. I think it's good being aggressive. Sure, if your opponent's not interacting with this and your Advocate, then you're just getting to put counters on this every turn, which is obviously just good. But like you still want to attack, and so that's the one little nitpick I have.
It is a little weird because like Juggernaut was a rare for many years. It was finally moved down to an uncommon, and was still good. Like, and it was a 5/3 for 4 mana. It was an artifact creature that you just had to attack over and over and over and over again.
Be blocked by walls.
And so yeah, to see the right designs, the correct designs of making people attack, and then to see one that encourages you not to, feels a little strange. But at the end of the day, it's a good card that probably, probably trades down. And that's the bad part. Like, they're going to trade their 2-drop or their 3-drop or whatever for this thing, whereas you already put in 4 mana, and maybe sometimes you had to wait and not cast it as turn 5 and 6. So, it's a little loose.
I think it's I definitely think this card is really good.
In terms of limited?
Yes.
Well, are we looking at draft, or are we looking at sealed, or both?
Both. I think this card's very good in both formats. It's a strict upgrade to a Canyon Minotaur. You're a red deck, you want to be aggressive. I definitely think that this card is just always making your cut.
I would say compared to the Canyon Minotaur, it makes it look really good.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Mind Sparker, hey-yo. Now in the show, I said this guy needs haste. I would be willing to trade a point of that damage that it dealt for haste.
I don't think this card is in the, at least the last time I saw the spoiler. I just don't think it existed.
It was there.
I missed it. This is the one card I haven't seen.
Well, okay.
I'm reading it now, and I'm just admitting that because I did do a good job at learning the entire set before we did this.
Right,
but I saw this, it kind of shocked me.
Ooh, did it spark you?
It did. It sparked me. This card is sweet.
Yeah, I mean, while he's looking at it, I agree the card is sweet. I feel like what can happen is, they're going to lose 2 life in order to kill it, essentially. They're going to lose 2 life in order to answer it or whatever, I'll play Supreme Verdict and lose 2 life. Okay. you got me. My problem is that it didn't get in the first place. Like, you know, it didn't attack. And in today's, like, hyper-aggressive, every creature is insane world, you know, having it have first strike and haste wouldn't be unbelievable. Having it just say haste instead of first strike would also be pretty good for me. Like, I would have been fine with that. It's not quite anti-Thragtusk in that regard, but.
Yeah, I think first strike makes us, like, sells this card because it against blue and white, it deals damage that way. Against the other non-blue and white decks, it has first strike, so it can, like, fight a lot of the green creatures and things like that.
And the black creatures and stuff, too.
And the black creatures. So, like, I definitely like where this is going. I don't think it's not like Lifebane Zombie. I think that's what it's called, right? Lifebane Zombie. It's not that where it has such a huge impact on the game.
That's to me, like, you know, when I was wowed by Fiend Slayer Paladin, I was wowed by Lifebane Zombie, and I was like, what? On the Mind Sparker, I was like, maybe, I mean, you know, again, maybe this is absolutely terrific. Maybe this will just crush the blue-white decks. But honestly, the blue-white decks are not really what's crushing right now. Yeah. So it's not anything where we're like, oh, thank you, Mind Sparker, for coming and saving the day. You know, it's like, oh, that's neat. We'll just continue to smash blue-white with other things. You know, I don't think
like
it's
Mana Barbs or the new one.
Yeah, the new Mana Barbs. Yeah, I was Burning Earth on the death versus Mind Spark on the death. In terms of limited. It's good. Is it a 3-mana 3/2 first striker essentially?
Yes.
And it works well, you know, in draft and in sealed. It's still good. It's still going to do good things on the battlefield. It does fantastic things when you put enchantments on it and equipment on it. But in constructed, you know, I think they designed it for constructed. You know, that's the way I feel. They made these as a constructed thing, whether it was the blue one for Legacy and it was the white one for constructed, the black one to hate on the green-white Reanimator stuff. And this guy just is supposed to hate on, I can imagine, the Sphinx's Revelation decks, you know? And that's just not necessary.
No, I definitely agree. It doesn't, and there's no, like, modern combo deck that it's punishing either.
Right.
It's just not doing anything, really.
Exactly. So, I mean, you know, I feel like this is sort of like a good try, but they whiffed, whereas, you know, Fiend Slayer and Lifebane, they just, like, knocked it out of the park.
I agree with that.
Molten Birth. Feeling lucky.
I don't even think this card's good, but I want to play with it just so I can flip some coins. I really do.
Get some duders and flip a coin, cross some fingers, make some guys.
Yeah, it's like I have better cards in my hand, but I keep playing this, and then after the game, my opponent's like, "Why did you keep playing that card? It wasn't even good." And I was just like, "I needed the sweat, man.
Needed to make it happen."
Yeah,
felt good when I bought it back. Felt real good, bro. yeah, like some mythic that you just weren't playing. You're just like, "What? I was keep getting value.
A value.
You could play it, get it, value. Play it, get it, value. Like I can't not run that." As a limited card, how good?
No.
At all?
I don't think so. Like, what do you put the line at? Because you're flipping coins, and so you have to say.
As soon as you flip coins, things get weird.
Yeah, I mean, there's some cards like Volatile Rig that's just unbelievable, and that's flip coin. And the best thing about Volatile Rig is no one respected the card. Even after the format was done drafted, I would still see it like 5th. I got it at the Pro Tour like 5th. And I was just like, you guys are out of, you're out of your mind. That was draft 1. It's like, you're out of your mind. This card's insane. Like, this card's so good. But when it comes to that, like, you have to look at this card and say, how much am I willing to lose? Because it's a 3-mana 2/1/1s, and if you don't win the flip, you don't get anywhere. And I don't actually think investing 3 mana into 2/1/1s is all that great anyway.
I mean, but at the same time, you know, like a Gray Ogre is a Gray Ogre. Yeah. So 3 mana for 2 toughness and 2 power. So on and so forth, with upside.
I feel like it should have went to the graveyard, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you get a flip a coin or something, just so like you could get it back. I want you to be able to get it back.
But then that's really annoying. Then every single turn I have to flip a coin.
So what?
Well, I mean, that's great and all, but every single turn I have to flip a coin is kind of annoying. It's also kind of overpowered for it, but regardless.
Okay, anyway.
Mainly it's annoying. But for me, I mean, like, basically you can imagine yourself paying 3 mana for a 2/2. Mm-hmm. If you get lucky, you get another 3 mana 2/2 for free. You drew a card.
Yeah.
If you get lucky, you drew a card. If you get unlucky, the worst you're out is a Gray Ogre.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's okay. It's probably fine in sealed. It's probably worse in draft because you know you're all about hitting the curve and doing the stuff. But you know, as a Gray Ogre, as a 3-drop, when you're looking for guys, you know, just to put in your deck to bash in, seems okay.
Yeah, I'm not
an all-star.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on the side that I probably would try to not play this card.
Right. I don't want to play it.
Yeah.
Let me make it clear. I don't want to play it, but I wouldn't be like devastated, you know, if I have to put this as my 23rd or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, whatever. I got some dorks. Fingers crossed. Ogre Battle Driver, get ya.
This card seems so good.
This card seems unreal. I pre-ordered one for my cube for like $6, foil, which I thought was a steal. The other half of it was, this is the card that's given away. I think it's for Steam. If you buy Duels of the Planeswalkers on Steam, they'll give you a foil copy of Ogre Battle Driver. But, you know, for the rest, in terms of how good it is, like Hellrider has to leave.
Yeah.
Hellrider has to go away before this card could ever possibly make standard. But if it can, that's an incredibly powerful ability, just so we're clear. I know Exava is another card that, you know, like Exava is probably just arguably better.
Exava might be better, but the problem with Exava is that you're forced to play a lot of Unleashed creatures, whereas this guy, like, you can just do some nifty things with him. Like, you can do cool things with tokens, right? Like I think, like, the coolest thing about him is you can go Lingering Souls, play Ogre Battle Driver, flashback Lingering Souls, just attack.
Right.
That's kind of cool to me.
Right, and that's on the curve, too. You know, that's turn 4 Ogre Battle Driver, turn 5 play and flashback, and then, my God, that's 12 damage. So
I mean, but Lingering Souls rotates out, but...
Yeah.
But yeah.
And of course, like in a lot of, and we've talked about this sort of power summer before, you know, there is a mixture of cards, again, the largest standard since Shards of Alara, you know, for us to sort of play around in and mingle with. And I'm hoping that Battle Driver is one of those cards that actually sees a lot of play, because I think it has a ton of potential. It's huge and limited. You're just like, you know, if you're in red, or if you want to play red, pick one, pack one, take your Ogre Battle Driver.
If you want to play any other color but red and you open Ogre Battle Driver, you just take it.
It's like, I'll splash it.
Or I'll just play it and win.
So good. Pitchburn Devils. What's going on in Innistrad Limited? I missed you, bro.
I know. It's like all the favorite ones from
really
Innistrad Blocker come back. And Pitchburn Devil was one of my favorites.
This card like drove me nuts, because I would always get to 3 life and then they would play it.
Yeah.
You know? And then I'd be like, oh my God, I have to awkwardly chump block this thing forever. And then if I didn't have it, I'd have to, you know, just literally lose guys so he wouldn't be able to get the 3 damage to my face. Like, that's happened multiple times. This guy is quality. All-star. If you're in red, if you're near red, if you can splash red, play this card. It's just value.
He trades for 6/6s. He 2-for-1s your opponents almost all the time. He's perfect. He's a perfect limited card. I'm glad he's coming back. I'm glad they're starting to put him back into other rotations. Whenever I see cards like Devils or stuff like that, like, I'm a little, you know, like, nervous that they'll never print him again, you know? Or like my favorite cards that have keywords, they'll just never touch again.
Right.
But like, this guy didn't have a keyword. He had a really cool ability. They allowed a Devil into the format, and like, it's awesome. So I'm really excited to play with him.
Yeah, the card is super sweet. Play it if you got it in limited. Regathan. Yep, he's a 4/1 for 3. He's a lightning elemental that's cheaper, but doesn't have haste.
Yeah.
Okay, lightning elemental is kind of
I feel like, you know, the thing about lightning elemental that was the big thing is that lightning elemental just come up right in front of you and attack you. And this one's like in the horizon, just running at you.
He's like, rawr.
It's like, yeah, you can prepare for it.
Yeah, I mean, you can prepare for an X1. Like, it's bad. It's not a good card. And off we go. Scourge of Valkus is amazing in limited. Now, not great in constructed, probably really cool in casual, because you can just sort of throw it in your dragon deck and it's sweet there. But like, make no mistake, this is a 5-mana 4/4 flying dragon with fire breathing that still does things when it enters the battlefield. Like, you're probably not going to have any other dragons. You might have the dragon hatchling and the dragon egg, so I can complain about it.
Yeah.
But what you're still going to do is have a freaking dragon for 5 mana.
Yeah, and it's a big dragon. 4/4 is fine. It has fire breathing. I think this is great. I mean, in the same set you have Shivan Dragon, which I think is just a little bit better in limited.
Yeah, in limited, I mean, just if only because it's easier to cast, and it is bigger by default.
Yeah.
But you know, when you're looking at, you know, I want really good cards to win the game, and I'm playing red. In limited, here you go. In sealed, go for it always. In draft, if you're in red, go for it always.
Yep.
Super great card. Seismic Stomp. Boof.
It's
boom boom. It's no falter, but it's close.
Yeah, it's no falter, no Gruul Charm, but it's fine. It's okay. Like, you'll play it, especially like when you're playing against green decks. It's really good against green decks.
Yeah, against the big green fatties, and you're like the little red, like dorky dork, you know, the short cutter type deck, you know, and you're just like, I just want to get there, I just want to get my talons, and I just want to do things. Yeah. And you're like, okay, all those huge fatties, all those wall of ice and all that type of stuff for the frost wall of frost, whatever it was. You know, the blue 07 wall, those types of things that really hurt your aggro deck, this card gets around them.
Yep.
And that's good. So, sort of a 23rd card, usually in the sideboard.
Yeah.
You don't really want to play it main, certainly not in sealed. It's super loose there. But in draft, I could see as a 23rd just saying, like, I'm the
I
aggro
think,
deck,
I think
I
it's
want to get
better
through
in sealed than in draft.
it. Because of the surprise factor?
Just surprise factor plus, like, people don't get to control what they have. So you'll play against more ground pounder decks, and, like, they'll have more, like, on-the-ground spells as opposed to flyers.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is you have to have a pool that really gives you some sort of curve. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to have the aggressive pool.
Yeah.
If you have the aggressive pool, I could see main decking this
One
for
of
that
it,
reason. Yeah, but no more than that. Shiv's Embrace. He holds you.
He does. If you can't, like, come out of a dragon egg, you can just put the Shiv's Embrace on. And you get to be a dragon.
It's sweet. Yeah, I mean, like, this card is awesome.
Yeah.
Make no mistake, in limited, not constructed, but in limited, this thing is unbelievable. Will end games, will make all of your creatures better, will make anything that has, attack triggers like Liliana's Reaver or something. Like, it makes those cards just, like, unstoppable.
And it gives them reach, or not just reach, but evasion. I think that's a really big thing for an enchant creature. So Shiv's Embrace has always been amazing, and I think this card is something that you should, like, pick very, very aggressively.
Yeah, if you're in red, this is a monster slam. Yep. You're going to love this on any creature you have. Shivan Dragon's back, baby.
And maybe while it's in rotation, maybe someone can actually take it to a pro tour like they did
in Hollywood.
In Hollywood, that was like one of the coolest things ever.
2008, I think it was.
Yeah, the team was playing Shivan Dragon in the sideboard just cause.
They were playing all in red. They were playing Seething Song into what was that 5-drop?
No, I don't think were they playing Seething? No, they were playing a red-green deck.
Yeah, but it was like all in red. It had Seething Songs and stuff, so they could play the red-green, the 5 red-green.
Arcsager?
No, the 5 red-green hybrid guy from Shadowmoor.
Oh, they weren't they?
Remember that deck? Yeah. This V was playing it. I know Jacob Van Loon was playing it because he was the guy.
And Lockman, and they had Magus of the Moon. And
JVL was coming over to me, and he was like, "Oh my God, I just beat somebody with Shivan Dragon." And he was like freaking out because like you don't beat anyone in a pro tour with Shivan Dragon, and they did back then, and it was fantastic. And like as a limited card, it's sort of where this lives now, and as a casual card, it's great. It's just iconic. It's it was the big dragon that first came out when Magic came out. I mean, there's not a lot to say about it other than if you're unlimited, you're gonna windmill slam it and you're gonna play it.
Yeah. And
in standard, you're never really gonna touch it.
Unless there's yet another challenge for the Pro Tour. Pro Tour Theros challenge accepted. Hopefully no one from Team Star City heard this, so they kick me out. But we're gonna take Shivan there, boys.
No, you're not. So Shock, get some Shack. Freaking Shack. Put some Shack in a Happa. Shack in a Happa. So yeah, it's Shock.
Is that what was that?
The Happa is this thing. Put in a Happa, in a Happa, in a Happa. It's a running joke. Anyway, Shock means there's no Searing Spear, means there's no Lightning Bolt. Oh.
Well, that's good. We don't like.
When are we going to get a Lightning Bolt back?
It was too good.
I know, but it was fun.
It was too good. It was sweet, but it was too good.
It was too good.
And I think like this is the year where the red cards are going to come down a little bit. Red players, I'm sorry to say it, but I think your time is coming to an end for a couple years. Are going to slow down on the red cards.
Well, I mean, they've been pushing the green cards really hard.
Yep.
Green sucked forever, by the way. White sucked forever. For those who are just like, what are you talking about? Restoration, Angels, derp. No, man, before Oblivion Ring.
Current standard.
Yeah, really. Like, before Oblivion Ring, particularly, White was just absolute garbage. Oblivion Ring came out, got a lot better, and then they've just been sort of like tackling on, cards to make White, particularly White's creatures better and better. The wings got better, Kithkin, that type of thing. It was a thing, and then of course this is going way back. But regardless, red getting worse spells is something you can sort of see happening.
Yes.
Like they got Lightning Bolt with the Searing Spear goes down to Shock. Like they're kind of taking it down. But that also means that they can put really awesome burn spells in Theros.
Yep.
Because you don't want too many awesome burn spells in the format. But
we've had a format where we actually had half burn decks, and I didn't like them.
Yeah, and they were kind of lame. So, but Shock Unlimited, you're always going to play it. Be happy with it, enjoy it, and I doubt it will see standard play.
Yeah,
probably not going to happen. Smelt, whoever smelt it,
dealt with it.
Don't play this card.
I mean, yeah, it's not that good. I mean, you can sideboard it in if their opponent has something that's really bad.
They have to have some insane artifact.
They have to have an artifact that doesn't even exist in the format.
I mean, like maybe if they got like.
Nope, there's not an artifact in the format.
There's that chainmail.
I would not bring in smelt to beat chainmail.
I
just
agree.
try to beat 'em
I'm
down.
literally thinking like they'd have to have like 2 chainmails. I'm just thinking of like, what scenario do I say this card's playable? I can't really think of one.
No, you just don't touch it.
We just move on. That's what we do. And to
First
striking sliver. Now this is the most predatory sliver ever.
I don't see it.
Yep, I don't see it either.
Nope.
Doesn't look anything like the 1984
The opening
classic.
scene from Predator.
God, really, Wizards? Seriously, guys? You are breaking my heart, man. You are breaking my heart. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know what was going through their mind, but for some reason the Predator people showed up, and here we are.
I told you they can control it. It's not like they have
Yeah, I know. It's not like they
creative
have
control.
full control over any of this stuff. It's fine.
This is just
It's just whatever. I mean, they're just along for the ride, you know. Yeah. The execs said, bring us Predator people, and they're like, all right.
I mean, to be fair, I bet that's actually what happened. Like,
well, if Hasbro...
These slivers look stupid. Can we just have... The Predator versus Alien movie, that grossed a lot of money. Can we have those?
Can we do that?
Yeah, that seems sweet. That's better for the 15 to 24 market.
Striking slivers, red cards, not that good. You don't really want to play unless you have a bunch of slivers. I don't really see me, you know, you're not going to be picking this highly. You're not going to run it in sealed unless you have a stupid amount of slivers.
Yeah, a ton.
Like, you have to have a lot. Like, we're talking 7,
You have to have
8.
a lot of good, rare slivers.
Yeah, like, you have to have so many that you go like, okay, I'm playing whatever sliver I got. You know, I got the double strike one, and I got the Hellrider one, and like, whatever. Let's just throw everything in there. And that's really the only place you would play this, I feel.
I agree.
Otherwise, stay far away. Speaking of, Thorncaster, a.k.a. Hellrider Sliver.
Hellrider Sliver.
This card's so sick. And it's sweet because it does impact the turn it comes into play.
Yeah.
Just like Hellrider, the turn this comes into play, you're able to get a bunch of value out of it, and that is fantastic.
But it's so much more unique than Hellrider because it can deal it to creatures.
It's true.
So, like, you can just, like, play it, attack with 2 creatures, kill their 2-drop that's going to block, and then you get through.
And that's huge.
I think it's really big. I think, like, this is one of the swingiest slivers just because when it hits, you can, like, annihilate your opponent's board.
Yeah, you can absolutely crush them. This is a card that, like, if I'm not playing slivers and I open it in pack 3, it makes me really sad.
Yeah.
Because it's just not a card you run by itself. You know, it's not worth running a 5-mana 2/2 that can deal 1 damage to another creature when it attacks. That's not good enough. But, you know, if you are playing slivers, or if you open this pick 1, pack 1, like, let's go. All slivers all the time, baby.
Oh, yeah,
Come on,
for
give me
sure.
them blur slivers. Let's make it happen, because giving this guy haste, good times. Good times. I don't think it's going to hit constructed, though. This is just not, it's too much mana, it's just not in the right, not in the right spot, if that makes any sense. Thunder Strike, dun, 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 Thunder Strike. What?
Is
I'm
that
making an AC/DC joke on Thunderstruck because explained jokes are funny. You see?
Well, he has to explain it to me because I'm dumb as a box of rocks.
Woo! A box of rocks or a bag of hammers. So here we are with Thunderstrike. This is just your average 2-mana combat trick.
Yeah, it's pretty basic. It's a better one for red decks because it does give first strike, and like this is as good as you're going to get in red decks. They're not going to protect your guys. Brute Force was a long time ago. It's not coming back, and it's fine.
Brute Force was sweet.
Yeah, Brute Force was good.
Yeah, I mean, well, Giant Growth is good, yes. Thunderstrike and its ilk, and a lot of these types of cards also seen in white, of course.
Yeah.
And white has their own, you know, active valor and that type of stuff. But Thunderstrike being a good spell, no one's going to play around it, particularly for the first few weeks before people get used to the tricks that are in the format, and you will blow people out at the pre-re and at the release parties. Volcanic Geyser.
Our X-Spell, and it's an instant fireball. I love instant fireballs. I really do.
It was always bad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It is pretty bad. You're like, what? I mean, back when this came out, I think it was like Mirage. I think it was a long time ago and I'm old. But, you know, everyone was like, oh my God, an instant fireball. This is so cray. And then there were like cray parties, and there was like.
And then they cast it, and
then they were like, wait.
It doesn't do anything I want it to do. I mean, just to think about it.
Because you had Fireball at the time.
The best way to explain it is, what is the average converted mana cost of a 4/4?
Of a 4/4 these days?
Yeah.
4?
Well, I'd say 5.
5? Yeah.
What's the average of a 3/3? 4.
Yeah.
What's the average of a 2/2 is 2, but like that's irrelevant. But like think about Volcanic Geyser now. Fireball effects would be trade pretty much mana for mana. If they play 4/4, you can trade with it right away. But like if they play 4/4 on the curve, on the play, It's very spell bursty. You can't kill it on your turn.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, obviously, spell burst is way worse than this card.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm telling you not to play it. I'm just saying that, like, it's not as good as you probably think it is if you're still thinking this card is like Ermagerd Bombing.
Yeah.
Not that great. Play it in sealed. You'll draft it in, you'll draft it no problem because it's still removal. Yeah. But you will be underwhelmed a little bit.
Yeah, it is an underwhelming spell. It's mostly, personally, I always seen it as a bad Lava X. Yeah. Like, sometimes you can go creatures, but most of the time it's 6 mana for 4 to the dome.
Right. I mean, and think Lava Axe was 5 for 5.
Yeah.
And here you're paying 6 for 4. And I mean, is that really better? I mean, are you really gaining?
As long as they're dead, doesn't matter.
As long as they're dead, buddy. Wild guess. I don't know. I got nothing.
I still have no idea if this card's good.
Like, I do.
It's pretty bad. Yeah.
It's bad. I tried it. I mean, like when it came out, I think this was Avacyn Restored card. And I was like, all right, sweet. This looks awesome. Like, thanks, Wizards, for giving cool red cards. Wait, crap.
Yeah, it does nothing.
I mean, basically, you're discarding 2 to draw 2. Like, Wizards does a lot of really cool, clever things to make you feel like red has card draw, but it doesn't have card draw. Nope. It has card selection. It has like possibilities with Chandra's 0. That is drawing a card, but it's not because it doesn't actually go to your hand. You can't just keep it and hang on to it. You have to do something with it. And with Wild Guess, you're playing Wild Guess, so that's the 1 card. You have to discard the other card, so that's the 2, and then you're drawing 2. And then you're like, oh, wait, it's like a weird Faithless Looting that sucks. And it's sorcery speed, the same speed, too. If this was instant speed, at least then you could give it a lot of upside. Or if
it was a Planeswalker and you could just do this every turn, then it would be good.
Yeah, big persuade.
But it's not. It's already existed. It's not good.
It's a Bolt saying like, hey.
Wait, is that still in the format?
Sadly.
It is? What set? I forgot. I actually forgot about Tibalt. And I built a deck with him.
Well, people forgot about Dre and Tibalt, and I think Tibalt was in Dark Ascension.
Okay.
He was not in Innistrad. And, yeah. Gosh, was he in Avacyn Restored?
He might. Because he came out. He came out, and I built a Gristlebrand combo.
Yes.
With the Necro guy from Scars.
Yep.
We'll keep going. We'll just keep going.
Whatever. Wild Ricochet is ridiculous.
This is the sweetest card ever. You get to take their card and you get yours, but the only issue is it only works in Magical Christmas Land. This card does everything unbelievably well, except actual games of Magic. And we've played with it before, and we know this. It seems so cool, but it just never works.
It looks like the biggest blowout ever, but here's your problem. You can't do anything while you have this in your hand. You can't do anything. You know what I mean? Like, so you have in your hand like a 3-mana creature and Wild Ricochet, and you have 4 mana. Yeah. And you're like, I cannot play this 3-drop because I need to get maximum value out of this Wild Ricochet. And then you say, go. And then they go, okay, land, huge 5-mana creature, go. And you go like, oh my God, if I'd have played that 3-mana creature now, and then you rip like Lightning Talons, and you're like, I could have and then actually got in and won this game instead of sat here and looked at this card and sucked. Like, it always sounds amazing. It always looks amazing. This is a card that is not amazing. It's just not. In constructed, no. In limited, and maybe in sealed, but again, you're going to have that scenario time and time again of I'm sitting around waiting for them to do something really cool spell-wise when they're just going to beat you to death with creatures.
Oh, yeah, and I actually think that the flavor text is actually just a troll on the card.
Don't worry. The spell's never going to meet your expectations. It looks amazing. It's not. It's not good. Now this card,
I think this is just insane, right?
This is the 3rd best card in the set for me. I absolutely love it. I bought actually 4 foil copies in this one. I did. I went deep because A, 1's going to my cube, and the 3 I'll just keep for value.
I'll let you finish. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
This card's really super sweet. Oh my God. I think it's actually going to hit Legacy. Like, it's the mini little Talran. It allows you to daze, make a guy. Brainstorm, make a guy. Force Will, make a guy. Swords of Plowshares, make a guy. Like, Caleb Durward wrote a whole article about this card in Legacy. Yeah. Like, this thing is real. Like, this card is nuts. It's a super mini Talran. It's any spell. The first time I read it, and the first time I actually talked about it on the show, I said any red instant or sorcery because that's sort of what I read it. For some reason, in my head, I was like, obviously, you're only going to get the bonus for red instants or sorceries. No. Play anything. It's easily splashable. It's the right converted mana cost for older formats. Like, This card to me is super sick. You're going to play it in all of your red decks. You're going to play it in limited. You're going to play it in sealed and draft. You've probably, I don't know if it's going to hit standard constructed because of the amount of sorceries and instants that you're able to play.
Well, is this finally put the Battle Hymn deck over the edge?
It might.
Like the actual, you know, the Battle Hymn, and it just gets all the mana and flashback. And
then the Burn at the Stake.
Burn at the Stake,
so the Burn at the Stake Battle Hymn deck, essentially.
Yeah.
It's possible. Like, this card is full of possibilities. It is just one of the best cards in the set. I absolutely love it. I think it's terrific. I'm excited about it.
I can't wait to brew it for Legacy for the Invitational.
Like I said, I'm serious, man. I think this guy, like in sort of a rug delver type, you know, that runs very little land count. Everything has to cost super low. You know, you're able to tap out, play this guy, and get value through Daze and Force of Will. Untap, get value through Brainstorm and Source of Plowshares and/or Lightning Bolt. You know, bolt it, make a guy, or just bolt it, make a guy block with something.
What about Blue-Red Delver?
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
seems better.
I think the card is fantastic.
I'll start testing this in Sweet.
I love it. I think it's great. Ring of Three Wishes, I think is cool. It's no Panoptic Mirror, I think is the other one, like the 6 mana and then 6 mana tap and you'll get a card. It's 1 mana cheaper. You know, even if it's, you know, being compared to 6 mana, 6 activate, being 5 mana, 5 activate is a thing. Like for the casual players, they care about this stuff.
It's way sweeter art.
It is super sweet art.
Yeah, and that's about it. I think this card is really bad. It's good for casual play, but it's you don't play it in limited. You don't play it in constructed.
And you just have fun with it on the kitchen table.
Yep.
And that's all it's here for. Rod of Ruin. This card stinks.
This card used to be so good. I used to play this card in limited. Woo! It was so good in limited. Now it's just like horrible.
Yeah, limited has gotten way too fast. I mean, even from the limited, you know, environment that we've studied so far, you know, Rod of Ruin is not where you want to be. You pay 7 mana for 1 damage. I got a bridge in New York to sell you, buddy. Because like, come on, guys. Like, this is not good value. I'm just, you know, like, is there scenarios you're bringing in? Maybe.
Yeah, I think there is. Like, there's enough X1s that could potentially need to be dealt with.
You know, blue-black or, you know, some stally.
This card might not be as bad. It's still limited. It was fine before, but I think it's much worse. I'd have to see it in play. I have to see it in action.
This is a card that I wouldn't say is unplayable. I would just say you have to like notice the power and toughnesses of your opponent's creatures, and you know, sort of have to say to yourself, if I had that Rod of Ruin, would I answer this? If I had that Rod of Ruin, would all of these creatures suddenly trade with all of those creatures? You know, it's not complete garbage, but they have worked to make environments to where this is just an antiquated card that if you just shaved 2 mana off, or 1 mana, 1 and 1, if it was a 3 to cost and 2 to activate, perfectly fine, no problem.
Really good.
It would be, it would be solid. But instead, this is just kind of groan-inducing.
Meh.
Sliver Construct, son.
Well, I don't get.
He looks a little alien, honestly.
Yeah, he does. These look like Alien and Predator. I'm not gonna lie. They're
this is like Geiger Alien, and then the other is just Predator, like good old-fashioned Schwarzenegger Predator, and Wizards, man. See, I was sighing again.
And they're like they're building themselves when I don't think Sliver should be a construct. Like, you know what I mean? Like slivers are the most like just natural creature I've ever heard of. They all work off of each other.
I mean, there was an artifact sliver, you know, I think it was from like Tempest. It was like a 1 mana 1/1 artifact sliver. And they explained it away somehow. But, you know, at the end of the day, as a card, it's cool. I'm glad it exists. I'm glad that there was a colorless sliver. Colorless sliver is needed whenever you're looking at, you know, the red decks that have other slivers and the white decks with them and whatever. But,
you'll never be better than Ally Puma. The stone, whatever Puma, the Ally Puma.
Stone Puma. All right, Sliver Construct is whatever. Staff of the Flame Magus, you know what that says?
We're going to green!
That means we're all done, ladies and gentlemen. We have talked about every red card in Magic Core Set 2014. I'm excited. I'm ready to go into the final stretch.
We got one more video.
We got one more lane of highway to go down, and then we're finished with M14.
And we're getting ready for Theros.
Then you go to Pieville. Then you go to Theros.
Pieville.
I
like Pieville.
Population us, y'all.
Hey, stop acting like you really want this to happen. It's not going to be as fun when I do it.
Oh, yeah, don't pie me. I will be very upset and will not be able to control myself much.
Good. Yeah, that's what I want.
All right, guys, seriously. We will see you here tomorrow. I want you guys to join us for our very last video on M14 where we talk about all the green cards. I'm Evan Irwin.
I'm Brad Nelson.
And we're tapping the cards.
So you don't have to do it.